Hello.
Hello.
You're just very quiet. I was expecting to do a doubles act.
I know what's on the show today. That's why I'm quiet. I can't wait.
Welcome to Our Time again.
Because we have two very special guests on today
We do.
to find out about two very special things. What does that make you feel?
I'm not really sure. It's a different sort of massage.
Oh, it's not a massage.
Okay.
We have a very special guest with Flavella Lamour, who is a burlesque dancer today.
Oh, okay, that'll be lovely.
But in the first part of the show,
We have Murray Shaw. She's with the Queen's Council.
she's a Queen's Counsel.
are Mari.
She is. Hello, Mari.
Welcome
Hello,
to
how are
Our
you?
Time.
Thank you for inviting me
But
along.
you're not just a Queen's Counsel, because you're also the patron of something very special here in South Australia.
I'm not the patron. I
Oh.
actually am involved in organising and running a program for disadvantaged and disengaged
But
youth.
you're sort of a patron at the same time.
I'm a volunteer.
But you're a patron volunteer. Could you
Yeah.
go that far?
No,
No,
really.
it's okay.
I've got a patron. The patron is the Governor of South Australia.
Oh, really?
So I'm not going to rob him of
no,
his
you
time.
can't rob him of that.
Yeah.
But, Murray, this is a really interesting incentive. How did it begin?
Look, it began with my own journey with my youngest through school. Unfortunately, my youngest had some learning disabilities, and like many parents, I no doubt, who struggle with their children or a child that is a square peg in a round hole, my youngest was. And I often say to people, ask me about any school in Adelaide, my youngest has been there. I think it began when she was expelled from play school. And from then, and of course we laugh about it now, that's
Yes.
true to say, but at the time any parent who is struggling, wanting their child to get an education with the system, it's heartbreaking. But we were very fortunate because my youngest watched The Mighty Ducks, a movie about ice hockey, and wanted to become an ice hockey player at the age of 9. So we took her down to the rink and she started to learn to play ice hockey. By the time she was 12, she was going off to Canada to the Friendship Games. She was.
Wow.
The school was proud to have a state ice hockey player amongst their midst.
Wow.
And suddenly her self-esteem and the alienation that she felt before because she struggled with her literacy and numeracy disappeared, not disappeared, but certainly was alleviated, and she gained self-confidence, and she went on to therefore apply herself at a schooling. We were able to get her to rote learn, and she was able to get a global education scholarship to Canada when she was 14, and then I'm proud to say got her SACE score to be able to complete her education.
Fantastic.
But whilst all these things were happening, you never ever put on skates yourself
I never put on skates
and went
myself.
for a bit of a whip around on the ice.
No. But
Don't you realise what you're missing? Hasn't she inspired
I know exactly
you?
what I'm missing.
I
and I'm
know
not going to do it.
No, Murray, I'm with you. I know what it is.
Now, she needs to inspire you, though, to give it a go.
Well, she did inspire me to do something that I'm extremely passionate about, and that is to try and offer other young people the opportunity to believe in themselves and to have a crack at something that they might not otherwise have had a crack at. You know, coming from the country where sport is such a big part of community life, and myself always being committed to team sports, I just have a genuine belief that if you can get children into sport, and particularly into a team sport, they learn perseverance, they learn self-discipline, and that's what worked for my
Well, I
youngest.
think it's anything that has a discipline behind it, really, isn't it?
And
because
also,
we've
yeah.
experienced the same through dance or being actors and so
Exactly.
on. You have to be passionate
Yeah,
to achieve.
and-
But you've recorded a few of the people that are in the program.
Yes, so the Ice Factor program began when the ice arena was up for sale, and the ice sports were going to be without a venue to play their various ice hockey, broomball, and so they banded together and formed a not-for-profit group that then got a lease of the ice arena. And once we took over, we therefore attempted to make the ice available to everybody during the day. And we thought that if we created a program that could target young people like my youngest, who were either not going to school, struggling at school, who's disadvantaged, denied them sport, then we could create a Mighty Ducks amongst various
Teams.
schools and
Yes,
teams,
yes.
and try and help young people and re-engage.
Well, so here are
Fantastic.
some of the kids who have genuinely been helped by the program. Let's just see what they say.
What would you say is the greatest strength of Ice Factor?
it's the camaraderie and the teamwork, I'd have to say that. When everyone gets together, it's just like a big family, you know?
I like our sport, ice factor because it's more fun and more exercise. Yeah, that's why I like it.
Ice factor has made me grown out of my shell because I'm an introvert and I don't really do stuff like these, but I've decided that I will try something new, and it really has made me grown out of my shell.
You don't know, tomorrow could be your last day on earth. Why not just go out and live your dreams and just enjoy yourself?
Do you think other young people should do Ice Factor?
Yeah.
Why? What do you think it offers?
It's fun. It gets you like more motivated to come to school. It gets you to meet new friends, new people from other school, and get to play with them.
So hearing those kids say what they've just said, it really means a lot, because suddenly their life has started to blossom, as you were saying.
And one of the major things that is a strength of our program is that it's available to everyone, and we focus on participation. Every child gets equal ice time. We have an 8-week intensive program to learn to skate and play ice hockey, and then in the 9th week they play a tournament. And at that tournament, children who've only been on the ice for 8 weeks play in a game. And that means that they are effectively supported by other players in the team, because if they don't support them, the team will lose. And therefore it promotes inclusion, it promotes their identity as a team. And then we get down at the opening ceremonies where we present awards. We have wonderful support from sporting players like Russell Ebert. The Chief Justice has been down, our sponsors come along and present. And so these people, these people come to recognise these young people for their endeavour, and their endeavour is their achievement.
Well, it's very full-on ice hockey, isn't it? I mean, it's as well as skating very fast.
Full on, it looks brutal to bed.
Well, they're pretty well padded. They can't really hurt themselves that much, can they? And they
Well, that's the key.
Yes.
They quite enjoy falling over and skating on the ice.
And they can take risks
Absolutely.
in a controlled environment. To me, that's another thing of actually learning how to integrate into society, because you need to take risks making friendships and doing whatever we do in life, you know. And when you watch an ice hockey game, it moves like the wind. You know, and you see that puck shooting around all over the place. Just get out of the way. If you weren't wearing the protective things.
I know, you'd be in all sorts of trouble, but gosh.
And we combine life skills with the ice hockey. That's the key. It's a life skills program. So what you were referring to then about its application to broader values in life, one of the keys to our program is to learn that you learn more from falling down and getting up again. You learn more from failure than you do from winning. And then we have special guests who come in. So we have Westpac who came in and did a banking course. We run a pre-employment program, and we motivate them and capture their attention and concentration by saying, you can't go and do your ice hockey until you've completed this life skills training.
Right, so it's both an on-ice and off-ice.
Off-ice training.
Training.
And we work with the schools so that they use it as a SACE unit. And if the child is playing up at school, not attending school, then they can't come down on the program. So it's a very much a carrot and stick.
So, Murray, is this anywhere else in Australia, or just it's an incentive
it's
here
just
at the
in
Ice
South
Arena?
Australia, but the only reason we're able to do it is because the Ice Arena is run by a not-for-profit group.
Right.
Because the cost of ice time is prohibitive for any other rink, but because the Federation makes the ice available for free, if you like, during the day, it's otherwise quite expensive. And we have sponsors in the community who also believe in children. They must have an education, they must get to school. They come on board and fund the equipment, which is in the order of $15,000 for one team, just to be kitted
cheap,
out. It's not cheap.
And how many schools are involved, Mara?
There are 17 schools involved, and we have 3 that are waiting to become involved, but we have to raise the resources in the community before we get them involved.
How long has the program been running, Mara?
This is our 13th year.
So out of those 13 years, have any of the kids from the program gone on to play competitively within the Federation?
Currently, one of our players is on a 4-year university scholarship in the USA and is representing Australia in the World Ice Hockey Championships as a goalie. And we have other players who, the first boy from South Australia ever to be selected for the Youth Olympics, came through our program. But it is regarded as, I suppose I tend to like to see kids who've gone on to university, kids who've gone on to their own business. One of our boys had owned 2 houses by the time he was 19. Why? I learnt what it was to work hard, be successful at something, and I thought, can I take that into my broader life? So it's about encouraging people to believe in themselves, have a dream, live that dream with perseverance and striving. You'll get there or you'll find another one.
But the real point is, had they not been involved in this program, and if this program had not existed, they may not have had that success in life.
Well, worse than that, one of the major target groups is those who are non-attenders, as the school calls them. They just don't go to school. They might be very bright, they might actually be capable of so much beyond their education, but they're not motivated to go to school.
Because that is because of their upbringing.
It could. Some of them are from families of obviously, particularly a lot of drug addiction, three-generation unemployment, low expectations, or a very serious issue amongst young people now is mental health issues. Youth suicide is something that we focus on a lot. It's terrible for the parents, it's terrible for the children, but we have to get these things out in the open.
But Mari, we've talked about that, but we haven't actually talked about you, and your story is really interesting in itself. Can you come back and talk to us again in another program and let us know a bit about you and what being a QC is? And I also know you've been a court judge as well.
I have. That's
So
right.
a really interesting story, but we'll have to wait to hear the rest of that next time. And Janice, coming up in a moment,
Yes.
a burlesque performer extraordinaire, Flavella L'Amour, is joining
What
us.
a lovely name.
With a very special
Really?
guest. Back in a tick. I've been waiting for this segment.
I don't know what's going on.
That's all right, because I'm absolutely thrilled to present and introduce the lovely Flavella.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hello.
It's a pleasure. Now, you were Miss Burlesque, in the very first Miss Burlesque in South Australia. I wish you had worn one of your costumes tonight. Just these old house dresses, really. I mean, you could have made the effort.
I wish I'd have known she was coming in something like that. I would have dressed up.
Oh, I would have too. I look lovely in a frock. But you were the first Miss Burlesque here in South Australia in
2010?
2010.
Yes.
And I know that because it was at my theatre. And the audience went
right?
crazy. Yes,
Did they?
the audience went crazy. And I remember, because you had the lovely feather fans. But where did burlesque start for you? How did you begin as a performer?
Well, I studied dance. I always danced. I did calisthenics, and then at school I really loved dance. My teachers pushed me to follow that, and I studied dance at the Centre for Performing Arts. I didn't get to finish the course, and I went and lived in a rainforest for a while, and I did a dance course in Northern Rivers Conservatorium. And then
Why didn't you finish the course?
Well, I had a lot
It was a
of
contemporary dance course, wasn't it?
contemporary dance course.
That's a killer.
Yeah.
People don't realise how hard that is.
No.
They see people jumping about and rolling around on the floor, but you have no understanding.
Well, the actual dancing's not the hard part. It's the psychology and the emotion and the confidence you need, and there's a lot of psychology that goes on as well as just the physical dancing.
But with burlesque, at least,
Yes.
it's very tongue-in-cheek.
Well, burlesque is a lot more freeing as a performer. You can express yourself however you like, and you can be very sexy and dominant and powerful and whatever character you really like. And you can also create your own work and express how you would like to, which is very
Just
different.
invent your own story, really.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
so there's a lot of freedom.
Now, you've got quite a lot of stories you actually do,
Yes.
don't you? We've got some photos of you in different costumes and things, and we'll just let those happen while we're chatting. But what would you like, or how does burlesque really connect with you as a performer?
Burlesque is also, it's a very old way of performing, isn't it? I mean, it's certainly not something new. When does
Cheeky.
it date back to, do you know?
I reckon it probably goes right back to biblical times,
18,
because if
yeah.
you think of Salome and she was dancing back in those days, but I'm sure all over the world in every culture there's been performers. Because it's in a way you're poking fun at yourself in a funny sort of way, and at the same time you're just being entertaining. It's always been very tongue-in-cheek, and there are male burlesque performers as well as female.
That's true.
So, with the stories that you do, where have they come from? Are they sort of something that you're not an old soul that was a burlesque performer in the 30s, were you?
Well, I feel like I am very inspired by the 1930s costumes and glamour and the feathers and the beauty of that era. So I was inspired very much by the 30s. I made a beautiful pearl costume that they were very glamorous at the time, the pearls.
And feathers too.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that whole look, Janice worked in the Moulin Rouge in Paris.
Oh, wow.
So she's quite used to looking like a chook as well.
That's nice.
But you know, it's funny because it's always great to watch these shows, but what goes through your head while you're performing? Are you listening to the audience?
Well, I think the main thing when you're performing is to connect with the audience. You can have stuff going on in your head, but it's best to connect with the audience that you have and be with them rather than thinking too much.
So in that regard, then, you really don't have something that's set. You have to wait and see what the emotion feels like as you're
Well, you
performing?
definitely would have something set, whether you have your music style and your costume style and your show idea and your choreography. But things can change and you've got to leave room for that.
Because the audiences go crazy, don't they? There's lots of wolf whistling and clapping and cheering. Because the truth is, bits of clothes come off. Not everything, though, because that's the whole art of
the tease.
Yeah, it really is. And I've watched a lot of burlesque shows over the years, and it's the imagination that a lot of the people have is brilliant. Have you had an influence? Have people been working with you to develop further acts? Or is everything just coming out of you?
Well, I make my own work, so I don't really be influenced. I used to let people help me, but I still will, but all my work comes from me.
But you know yourself better than anybody else, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, you don't only work with feathers.
No.
You also work with...
Spiders?
No.
What?
Well, I'd like to slither up your arm if possible.
So it's a snake.
Yes, but you've got some lovely snakes, haven't you?
I certainly do.
Now, where do they live?
They live at my house with me.
Where in the house? Do they just lay about the room? Or?
No, so they actually have their own room and they have vivariums in there. And
so do you have to keep a temperature constant or something for them?
So they each have their temperature in their own vivariums.
Oh, okay.
Regulated, yeah. You have to make sure they're the right temperature.
And how did you discover snakes?
When I lived in the rainforest, that's where I first came across snakes, and I was sleeping on the floor. There was a snake living on the ledge, and I was very scared. It was wild. It was a python, and it's stayed there. I just had this thing, I won't hurt the animals and they won't hurt me. And the snake lived there for the hibernation period of winter. And then it disappeared, and I really missed the presence. It had a powerful presence there. But it didn't move. It stayed where it was. It didn't come near me.
But the little guests you've brought on the show are not going to stay where they are.
What do you mean, guests?
They're guests on the show, and we're going to be back in a tick to meet these fantastic performers. We'll see you soon. So, Flavella, these are your other performing guests.
These are my babies.
Are you the only snake dancer around?
Yes, there's others in different states, but I'm the one who's been doing it for a long time, for 10 years now.
And who am I holding here? Who am I wearing?
You are holding a diamond.
Diamond's lovely. You know, everyone has the perception, including Janice.
Yes, no, Diamond's my girl's best friend.
Oh, okay, but that they're creepy, but they don't feel creepy. They actually just feel like cool
Calming.
flesh.
Yeah.
They are. I understand what you mean about them being
Sensual.
gentle. Yeah, they are. So how do you work these into the show?
Well, I dance with them. And so
They're heavy though, and you're so tiny.
you
Is
have to
that
be very
difficult?
strong. It can be, but if you stay really centred, it does require a
Oh,
bit of
yeah, I
strength
see what you mean,
sometimes,
yeah.
but it does make you strong as
But
well.
I've seen you've got a strong girl, but you've got it's an albino python?
No, I don't have an albino.
Oh,
I've
but a
got
pale
two other
snake.
jungle pythons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I've seen you have to throw yourself on the floor to get the snake to unwind itself from your body, which I found hysterical. Janice,
Yes, darling.
You're getting closer.
No, I'm not
Oh,
at
aren't
all.
you?
I'm just watching this one come under your arm.
Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't get under there if I was it, I can promise you. So apart from, as we said before, what do they eat?
They eat rats.
Oh, okay, but they're special rats.
Yeah, from the pet shop.
Yeah.
They're frozen.
So it's nothing that, that the snake is sort of out ferally finding wild game anywhere.
No, and because they don't have the antibodies because they're not from the wild, they can't have wild.
Right, oh, okay.
So they have to
because
eat
they really are.
special rats that don't have diseases.
And
yeah.
do the lights on the stage bother them? Or is it
Well,
just...
they can't actually see in the light,
Oh, okay.
so they can only see in the dark, and they can hear in the dark. I mean, they can't hear at all. Sorry, they
Well,
feel vibration.
I've got this great desire that I want to stroke it. Oh, hello. Oh, no, you get out of the sleeve. How dare you?
They like the dark.
You've got to be invited. Yes, I thought that. Flavella, it's just been lovely. And
Yes.
Janice, I'd love to
Lovely.
accessorise you a little.
Another time, Malcolm.
Another time. Would you like to tell everybody how they can check out our shows in the future?
Oh, no, I'll let you do that.
Oh, okay. Well, Flavella, if people would like to see more of you, it's very easy to find your website and they can find out just exactly all of the things that you do. If you're interested in snakes and watching a snake dancer, because again, it is sort of a biblical thing when you think about the snake dancing thing. But also, you can watch this show and many others if you simply download any of the apps from any of the stations around Australia who now have a platform available that you can watch. You can re-watch this segment on your phone and watch Janice being coified in the corner. And these are the addresses that you can download the app. So if you're living in Perth, you can find OurTime on this app. If you're living in Brisbane, you can download the app and be part of OurTime by dialing straight into the station. And if you're in Victoria, C31 in Victoria has this app. Oh, we've got a bit of action here at the station as the word has got around. And here in South Australia, C44 is our channel, and you can find out more about, again, Flavella and us through downloading the app. And of course, this program will be on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for bringing in your friends.
Thank you so much for having me, Malcolm.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to, what's this one's name?
Venus.
Venus, and this is Milo.
Diamond.
Oh, Diamond, of course. So until next time on OurTime, we hope you can be part of our show again. Janice, would you like to say anything?
Take care until the next time.
On OurTime. Keep yourselves nice till then. Bye.